皆さん成長しましたね
Have they, Tanaka? Have they? We opened this week at the Idol Precure Research Club, where, as usual, they were simulating the concert coring experience, even though, come on, they probably could have just have gone to one of their concerts by now, which, like, wait, when was their last concert? Really? In 36 episodes, y'all haven't had a full-blown concert yet? Y'all have done autographs, handshakes, and I think some mini-concerts at least, but you never got around to doing an actual concert until now? Yeah, I should have figured that horse would want to go before the cart. Though honestly, I probably should have figured that these girls never got around to this when they usually leave everything up to Tanaka. Like, seriously, it's almost scary how much they put on this one guy's plate. Sure enough though, he almost immediately managed to secure a venue for them, and yet they still weren't totally organized as they hadn't even drafted up any ideas for it, including the name. Well, if you're going with that title, you better copyright it quick before the princesses get to it. In fact, funny enough, I actually googled the title of Kaito's concert, and there's actually an album by an artist named Sohei Oyamada that sounds very similar, the melody leaping through time. So yeah, maybe the writers should have looked that up beforehand, or maybe they wanted to turn Kaito into a dirty plagiarist. It would at least give him some personality. Though yeah, and as for where the venue was...
ライブ会場はなんとパシフィコ横浜です
personally I'd rather go see a Milky Holmes concert. And in case you're wondering, yes, the Pacifico Yokohama is a very real location that they were able to name drop for reasons we'll get to later. Anyway, they began promoting the concert, which hopefully was at least a month away to allow people to make arrangements. Not just for the patrons, but also the Precure themselves, as they decided to covertly take suggestions from the research club, which might not be the best idea, since some smart club members might be able to put two and two together, but then again, this is the Precure universe where they seldom take notice of anything going on around them, be them monster attacks, or transfer students who look suspiciously similar to their favorite idols. Also, I'm pretty sure a bunch of encores would be kind of redundant. I mean, at that point, you may as well just hold a second concert. Still, they managed to collect some actually good ideas from the club, and we got probably my favorite part of the episode when they properly sat down and discussed their plans for it. Yeah, putting aside how they've somehow never had one up until now, and how ill-prepared they were, I actually like this bit where they practically discuss stuff like their set list, and what sort of non-singing parts they could do in between, which a lot of musicians would do to give their vocal cords at least a little reprieve. I honestly would have liked it if they stretched this out a little more, and got into detail about how they decided on some of this stuff, but of course they also had to do some other very necessary steps like rehearsals. Meh, just imagine a bigger audience than AEW gets these days. It's not getting any better, stop lying to yourselves, you bunch of sickos! It's a pro wrestling thing, don't ask. With that, they decided to actually go to the Pacifico Yokohama, which kind of just makes me wonder where the Precure's hometown is. Like, is it a fair distance away from, like, say, Tokyo? Or did they just live in or next to Yokohama? Well, anyway, they checked out the venue that I'm pretty sure they drew based on the real thing, though I also think that they could have done a better job giving a sense of scale to this place. Anyway, Uta tried to use this as inspiration to figure out their concert's name, which they probably need to announce really soon. But first, they had to address something very important to this show, in that they still need to get their money's worth for hiring this guy for whatever reason. You say that, and yet you barely get out of your trailer for this show. Yeah, unfortunately, they still haven't sunken this ship. Again, my problem isn't necessarily Kaito himself, but more the fact that they're unnecessarily stretching out this plot point that will likely be a part of the final act of this series. Hell, at this point, I'm almost expecting Jogi to become the final boss of this show, considering how little we've seen of Darkine. Are you sure it's not that, and not constipation? But yeah, they decide to literally sleep on it. Well, okay, maybe Zets can help you out with your stuff. And the next day, they continued their preparations at the Pacifico Yokohama. Jesus, really? A transformation jump scare, guys?
But yeah, I should probably correct myself and point out how it was actually the auditorium staff who were putting together most of the prep work.
And again, I actually find some of this behind the scenes stuff to be the most interesting part of this episode, and would have liked to see a little more. Obviously not take up the whole episode away from our title characters, but a little more focus to give a sense of how much work these guys are dedicated to making the Precure look better. But no, instead they had to set up the obvious victim of the week, which turned out to be this stressed out stagehand, which, yeah, okay, that's a much better example of someone who's overcome by the darkness of the service industry. Also, a bit of a missed opportunity to make a Cure Honey reference with these bento boxes. I mean, come on, she's practically a precursor to all of y'all. Anyway, the fight we got this week was kind of forgettable. Like, it wasn't badly animated in any way, but I don't think it was storyboarded well, and just felt rather rushed to the point that I honestly can't remember much about this monster, other than it having a few bento accessories, like those little soy sauce bottles, and that grass that always gets in the way, and I wish they didn't include it. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks that, right? But yeah, it was just a short fight before they went right into the finisher. And after the battle, we got to see the real purpose to this episode more than any actual story progression, as the Precure met with some singers. Yeah, this is a thing that they really seem to go out of their way to advertise, the fact that the singers of this show's opening would make cameos, which just has me asking, is it really that big a deal? I mean, this is far from the first time this franchise has had singers make cameos in the show proper. Hell, of all of these cameos, this is probably the weakest, as they only really showed up at the very end of this episode. Give Heartcatch and Yes 5 credit, their guests played significant parts, and hell, one of them even became a Precure. Oh, but wait, I forgot the thing that actually made their appearances important, the fact that they were tied into something IRL. Yes, this episode ended with just one big ad for their actual concert that's being held IRL at the Pacifico Yokohama. If you didn't think the product placement in the show wasn't already ridiculous, well, there you go. And while I won't say it completely sours me on this episode, I also really can't say there's much else good about it. Like, other than some kind of interesting bits where they're setting up for the concert, not much actually happened this week. Not only does an event like this feel long overdue, but at the same time, it also feels like we're long overdue for some actual plot progression. In a funny way, I almost find this episode representative of how the writing of the show has progressed recently. They address stuff that really should have been highlighted much sooner, and when they do get around to it, they seem to be highly disorganized. As a result, it makes the series' ongoing and episode-specific plot feel rather underwhelming, as the characters are just going with the flow. I think that's the reason I actually kind of like the scenes where the Precure and staff are just setting stuff up, as it at least feels like things are progressing. And I do appreciate the idea of them working hard to make sure that they can connect with their audience, which I'm sure they'll be able to do at the IRL concert, but at the same time, it left this episode with no real sense of urgency aside from a very brief Monster of the Week fight. Which, yeah, along with there not being a lot of action, there also wasn't a lot of comedy this week, as I really think they were just focused on trying to advertise these concerts. And overall, it just left us with an episode that I really can't describe as any more or less than. Oh, but don't worry, next week Utada's gonna get a new power-up, thanks to Kaito. Yeah, this guy has really become a major anchor to the show, hasn't he? Thanks for watching, and if you're gonna go to some concert or something pretty soon, maybe you can pass the time by watching some of our other videos. We've got something new coming out almost every day, and more to come in the oncoming weeks. Look forward to Princess Shin Orchestra. Until then, though, for now, my friends, and, Ooh, looks like another sicko took their family hostage as forcing them to watch AEW. This is the audience who wanted, Tony.